Sorry, are we set to go? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So we begin the meeting by acknowledging the continuing connection of Aboriginal people to country, culture and community, including traditional custodians of this land, the Wadandi and Kaniang people of the Noongar Nation. And we pay our respects to elders past and present. We'll declare the meeting open at 3 p.m. And a reminder to all that this session is being live streamed and recorded in accordance with Council Policy EMCP2. Members of the public are reminded that no other visual or audio recording of the meeting by any other means is allowed without the permission of the chairperson. And while every endeavour has been made to only record those who are actively participating in the meeting, just be aware that loud noises or comments can be picked up on the recording. Our agenda briefing sessions are open to the public to attend and observe. Deputations may be received during the agenda briefing sessions in accordance with council procedures. However, questions and petitions are to be formally presented at the ordinary council meeting next week. There will be no debate-style discussion this evening, this session is just, the debate takes place at the ordinary council meeting when the item is set for decision. So this is really a Q&A or an information session. Attending tonight, we have Councillor John Bailey, Councillor Tyler Hall, Councillor Anita Lindeman and Councillor Amanda McNabb. Coming a little later will be Councillor Grant Patrick. My name is Vivian McCarthy, and staff present, we have to my left our Chief Executive Officer Nick O'Connor. To my right, we have Director of Operations Roscoe Marshall and our new Director of Finance and Community, Colin Young. To the further left, we have Executive Manager Corporate, that's new, Lauren Clifford, and Samantha Farquhar, our Administration Officer Corporate Services. And in the gallery, we have Manager Financial Services, Meta Hazeldine. So welcome everyone in the public gallery. Thank you for coming in, and welcome to those who are participating via live stream. Moving through the agenda to item 2.1, apologies, we have none this evening. Approved leave of absence we'll take care of next week. Applications for leave of absence we'll take care of next week. And Councillor Purick has just entered the room. Oh, I thought you would be still in Melbourne. Lovely to see you. Okay, announcements will be taken care of next week. Item 4, declarations of interest, and a reminder that Division 6, Subdivision 1 of the Local Government Act 1995 states that care should be taken by all councillors, committee members and staff to ensure that a financial or impartiality interest is declared and that they refrain from voting on any matter which is considered to come within the ambit of the Act. So do councillors or staff have any expressions of interest? Thank you. Item 5, public question time, will take that into next week. Oh, sorry, questions on notice. We have none, and then the actual public question time will be taken care of next week. Item 6, presentations. At 6.1, we have petitions, and a petition has been received on the 5th of November from Bailing Up Cycle. The purpose of the petition is to respectfully request that Council support the Bailing Up Cycle Playground project, and this will formally be received by Council at the ordinary Council meeting next week. 6.2 is not applicable, presentations, and taking us through to deputations at item 6.3. We have 2 deputations this evening relating to item 9.1.1, development application P25041 for workforce accommodation at lot 103, 107 Irish Town Road in Donnybrook. And the order that we'll take those in are as they set out in the agenda briefing. So Mr. Russo, would you like to step up first? And when you pop up there, can you just say your name and your address? And I hope that microphone is working. And welcome, Councillor Patrick. Is the microphone okay?
Yeah, just turn.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you're just up here at the podium, Mr. Russo. Mr. Russo, we usually allow 10 minutes maximum.
It won't be 10 minutes.
No. Thank you.
Good afternoon, councillors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Simon Russo from 69 Leschenauldia Circle of Donnybrook. Together, me and my wife, we've owned our property for 12 years.
Mr. Russo, would you be able to either, can it go higher or, yeah, you're a bit taller than the mic, Mr. Russo.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Would you like to start again or?
Yes, probably, because I don't think that would have been picked up.
Good afternoon, councillors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Simon Russo, and together with my wife, Samantha, we have owned our property for 12 years. When we bought it in 2013, it was a blank canvas. Over the years, we've built our farming business from the ground up, employing between 6 and 15 staff on average. Our business isn't just a livelihood. It's something we put our heart, time and energy into. We are passionate about growing top quality produce and are not willing to risk the reputation and integrity we've worked so hard to build. The people we employ are hardworking and honest, helping us maintain the high standards we are proud of. Finding and keeping staff can be challenging. In our busiest season, local lodges are often full, making housing staff difficult even when workers are available. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted this further. Sourcing staff was extremely hard and we had to isolate workers to protect everyone. One reason we are looking to develop our own accommodation is to better prepare for situations like that in the future. Employing people also benefits the wider community. Our staff shop locally, we support the community through sponsorship and other contributions. We're a family-run local business, not a large corporation, and we want to continue farming and being an active part of the community for the long term. In short, this business reflects years of dedication and hard work. We are proud of what we've achieved and remain committed to supporting our staff, maintaining our standards and contributing to the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. If you'd like to wait and give councillors the opportunity to ask any questions, if you don't mind. Councillors, are there any questions you have for Mr. Russo? Councillor Patrick.
Okay, sorry, I've sort of got to talk to the mic and have my back to you. I apologise for that. In relation to the application as to where you want to put the accommodation, I acknowledge the feedback within the officer's report. There's obviously been feedback from other community members. Are there any other alternate locations on your property that could be a suitable location for that workers' accommodation?
No, not really, because any other location will use up valuable arable land. So it's the only spot on my property that it sort of suits the business.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors?
Yeah,
Councillor Lindeman.
Thank you. Through the chair, please. Mr. Russo, I did have the opportunity to do a site visit, so thank you. Looking at the location, there was some consideration in reading the report in regards to water usage and the septic, etc. Can you elaborate a little more on your plans on what you'll be doing for 12 employees utilising the water there?
Yeah. So I've currently got a 51 megalitre allocation, groundwater allocation. So all water for that facility will be serviced from that licence.
Any other questions, councillors? I have a question, Mr. Russo. From an ambience point of view, what plans did you have in place for screening or?
So at the moment I was planning on using, excuse me, bottle brush. But it's fast growing, but I'm adaptable to change that if that needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Russo. And next we have Mr. Fitzgerald on behalf of Tekon. Am I pronouncing Tekon right?
Tekon, thank you.
Tekon.
Sure, President. Good afternoon, Show President, councillors. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. We're obviously, my name's Gary Fitzgerald, Director of Tech on Australia. We're a town planning building surveying company operating southwest Perth and other states. So we're representing the Russo family, Simon and Samantha, tonight. Councillor, if I could just pick up on that question that you asked, which is really important, that's about location, suitability. And as was indicated, there's a number of locations that have been explored, but there are issues like farming operations, bearing in mind the principal nature of the zoning of that land is for intensive agriculture. Future expansion of farming operations also came into consideration of the location. And there's also the lack of infrastructure and location of that in regards to the suitability, particularly of that site. So it's not something that hasn't been explored. Simon and his wife have explored that, but there are quite obvious reasons why and logical reasons why they couldn't sort of really relocate it to other areas. I'm sure it could be relocated. It's a big farm and the possibility of it could be, but the reality of it in regards to those items makes it very difficult. And I suppose the important thing from our perspective is, as we'll talk to tonight, the location that it's suitable for those reasons is suitable, but then from a planning perspective, we would argue that it's suitable for that as well. But just to emphasise, as Simon's indicated, it has been given some considerable thought. And Councillor, if I may, just quickly in my 10 minutes, Show President, I'll try and shorten it up. Water, absolutely, DWER have approved water supply system, obviously potable water, all of that has been considered, Councillor. So the supply of water is something that's been given some considerable consideration as well and has been approved by TWER. As you'll see in your officer's report, they've indicated, conclusively how that's handled. So, sorry, councillors, I just thought I'd pick up on those two very important questions if I could firstly. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Show President and councillors that were able to make it on the site yesterday to have a look at it. And secondly, I'd also like to acknowledge Christy Richardson, Senior Planner from our office. Christy's a key player in this. We're here to answer any questions. Secondly, if councillors would like to meet on site, have any further questions, you've obviously got a week to consider where you're going. We certainly understand there's a lot to consider. We'd be more than happy to assist or answer any questions that you might have or help, even if that means a site viewing if you want to have a look at it on site. Councillors, I'm speaking obviously for the recommendation in which your principal planner, your executive manager have provided a recommendation for you to support the item, which I think is pretty important. It's recommended with support with 9 conditions and advice notes. So Simon and Samantha have clearly read the recommendation with the advice notes and accept all of the conditions that are attached, which I think is important because those conditions deal with some of the issues that are raised, and your executive staff have dealt with those very appropriately with conditions attached to this approval. Councillors, I don't need to put it out, but very quickly, you'll see figures 1 to 6, which provide some graphics of the proposal. You also see comprehensively an attachment 9.11 full details. So lot 103, very quickly, 2.2 hectares. It's zoned priority agriculture and it's used for intensive vegetable and fruit farming. In the context of the proposal, there's a number of smaller rural properties and lots that are surrounding, which are effectively lifestyle, which adjoin the site, but they are pretty much of the same priority agricultural zoning. So this agricultural zoning issue is important. Again, in your report, and I'm just going to read from that, so a summary of the key components of the proposal. I think just quickly to summarise, the applicant providing on-site workforce accommodation to support seasonal labour. Simon's statement about a small business, a growing business, the importance of this seasonal labour is not something that I'm sure you haven't heard. It's critically important to small businesses in growing, and I think it's something that we as a community need to deal with and manage effectively, which is what we believe we have in location and, as I said earlier, with conditions attached which control elements. There's only 12 workers with less on site, so we see a lot larger ones. This is a very small one. It's very well managed. There's an on-site manager, which Simon has agreed to include, which you'll see. There's a shared common area, purpose-built kitchen, laundry facilities, It's a modular design. It's set back 30 metres. It's not something that's obvious. It's well set back. It's positioned to avoid disruption to the site farming activities, as I said, protect prime growing agricultural land. It has access to Brazier Street. This has been controlled through the approval, and there's no traffic management issues that need to be addressed. Vegetation, as you heard, we'll screen it. Open for suggestions if there's any, but the conditions pretty well cover that. But vegetation screening can be adequately dealt with. There's on-site parking. It's obviously a large area, so although not all workers are expected to have vehicles, that's just the nature of these types of uses. There is adequate parking as per your scheme requirements. There's also provision to put additional parking in if that was ever needed or required. So basically, councillors, your report, I'm just going to touch your Executive Officer's report, because from a planner's perspective, what we look at is the planning merit of a proposal. We understand sometimes there can be a lot of subjective sort of thought process that goes into stuff, but we'll focus on the planning attributes. Risk management, I'm using the headings that are in your report because I think they're very relevant. Risk management, financial implications, policy implications, statutory compliance. These matters are very important and have been comprehensively addressed within your officer's report, which again I think presents to you a well-researched professional recommendation. I do note, by the way, that, and I saw in the submissions that there was reference to the activity not being consistent with the scheme. Of course, it is consistent with LPS 7, particularly clause 3.8.2, which is your use class not listed. So that's a common way of dealing with uses, because we can't have a use for everything under a scheme, and I'm sure as you advance your scheme, you'd probably incorporate something like that. As I said, I think it's a developing issue within our society. Importantly, I think we need to look at the objectives of this zone. That's critically, I suppose, if you're a town planner, you're looking at what those are. And it focuses on supporting development where it improves farm management and rural infrastructure. That's what your scheme says. So, you know, it's not sort of fluffy words. That's quite clear about what the key focus of this land is. It talks about protecting rural infrastructure, avoiding agricultural land uses, supporting productive agricultural activities, enhancing biodiversity, enabling value adding to agricultural products. These are all things which Simon and his family are doing with a small family business, and linking again to location, it's critical to keep that agricultural land active where it sits, so that's a key consideration. Councillors, there was 31 submissions, and we know the importance of public submissions. I will note, and these are my words, at best I would describe some of them as subjective and somewhat emotional. Several of the comments border, in my opinion, of being derogatory and unduly biased. I think when it's about social activities where, you know, it's implied that there will be antisocial behaviour and the like, I just don't think it has planning merit. So my comment, I want to say within the objective grounds of planning, pardon me. So we'll focus on those planning issues. Land use compliance, supported. Your report outlines that. It's consistent with the scheme. It aligns with the planning development regulations and standards. It has setbacks that comply. It protects the land. It presents the singular style residential development. So even the nature of it is quite limited. Your amenity in character, it complies. Your traffic is addressed. Your environmental, including drinking water, has been addressed. Your EHO and DHW guidelines have outlined that. In concluding, because I think I'm running close to my time, the location is suitable. The vehicle pedestrian movements comply. It's been addressed. The water supply concerns have been addressed. Vegetation and screening is being provided. We've got a comment, I think, raised about planning position statement, which is very important, the workforce accommodation. It's not a policy, it's not a local, state planning policy, it's a position statement, and I think that reflects the developing nature of as I said earlier, this workforce type stuff. and it completely complies with that. And I think your staff identify that. Very quickly, you'll see lots of research on this. One particular document that I found was the National Farmers Federation, pardon me, in conjunction with Backpackers Youth Tourism Advisory and Australian Tourism Export Council
Excuse me,
have
Mr.
prepared a
Fitzgerald.
position paper which talk about the benefits. 44% of tourist dollars spent.
Mr. Fitzgerald, you hit the wall.
Can I have 2 more minutes, Councillor? I said I'd incorporate it into my answers. Could I?
Councillors, are you happy to extend the time, or would you like that to finish now? Happy to extend
Just
the time?
a quick summary.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and wrap up. As I said, my point of raising this is research that's done external. It identifies the importance of it. National Farmers Federation, the Youth Tourism Advisory Panel, Australian Tourism. Some of the key statistics. Working holiday makers are high return tourists. They spend significant portions of their earnings in Australia. Visitors aged 15 to 29 make up 27% but contribute 45% of visitors' spend. 44% of tourist dollars are spent in regional areas. It adds this type of industry, business, whatever you want to call it, as in workers' accommodation, adds $726 million to our economy. Each 10 workers creates 1 full-time job. So these are the type of key statistics. I won't ramble through them, I'll finish off. But my point being is that this is not just Simon and his family wanting to put something that's unusual. This is something that's well researched, supported, dealt with by your scheme, and supported by industry groups and community generally. So, councillors, in closing, I just urge you to please consider the recommendation that's put in front of you, and hopefully you'll approve it. And as I said earlier, if you have any questions, we're more than happy to provide some additional information. Thank you very much for your time and extended time.
You're welcome. And if you could just wait for a second and
Certainly.
see if councillors have any questions. Councillors, do you have any questions? Councillor Patrick?
Thank you, and thank you for the deputation. In relation to the on-site manager, do you know, should have asked probably Simon, what's the plan for them to reside permanently on
Yes.
site, 24/7 availability?
Yes, absolutely. So it'll be an on-site manager appointed by, obviously it's not at this point in time, someone that lives in the facility will have the availability of being contacted. I mean, that's not uncommon. Someone has a concern, they can contact that person. So absolutely on-site manager, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? No other questions?
Thank you very much.
much, Mr. Fitzgerald. Next week, we'll have a deputation from, very exciting, Brookhampton Bellringers. I'm looking forward to that. The last time I heard the Brookhampton Bellringers was when I was visiting Turia Lodge about 6 years ago. So that takes us through to 6.4, delegates' reports, which are not applicable to the agenda briefing. Taking us on to item 7, confirmation of minutes. 7.1.1, ordinary council meeting held on the 26th of November. Do councillors have any questions? Item 8, reports of committees, and at 8.1 we have the Bunbury Geograph Group of Council's committee meeting. CEO, would you like to introduce this report?
Thanks very much, Presiding Member and President. So, Councillor, there's 2 limbs to this. It's obviously the first limb is getting you to formally receive and note those minutes of the recent meeting of the 28th of November of the Bungeo Group of Councils. And the second bit is probably the more interesting part, which I guess emanates from one of the actions or agreed actions out of those minutes. So the report itself is pretty straightforward. I won't go through it in detail, but there's some history there probably for the newer term councillors around history of the Bungeo Group of Councils, established back in 1998. A number of initiatives were implemented over that time, the intervening period. At the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of September, council passed a resolution to withdraw its membership from Bungeo Group of Councils. However, as that membership doesn't come into effect to 1st of July next year, both myself and the Shire President have continued to attend those meetings. At the 28th of November meeting, there was a recommendation that emanated from that meeting to take the new governance framework up to the respective councils, as well as seek in principle support for a pro rata contribution to the ongoing, or to the employment of an executive officer. So our COP or our pro rata contribution financially would be $15,417 if indeed this council wanted to maintain its membership. And then I guess there's a number of salient points that I just highlight for council's information on page 13 there. And that's, I think, the fact that the $15,417 contribution is just that. It is just a contribution. Any joint initiatives would be a pro rata additional cost to council. The next step as part of the review of the governance framework for Bungeo is that strategic review and that strategic session to identify areas of focus and regional initiatives into the future. It's a discussion we've had previously, the fact that we've got a foot in a number of camps when it comes to regional collaboration. We are an active member of the Warren Blackwood Alliance of Councils, and that financial contribution is around the $43,000 per year. And you can see the breakdown or the split of that. And as recently as last week, Shire President was endorsed as the new chair of Warren Blackwood Alliance of Council as well, so quite a heavy commitment from the Shire. And then not only is there the financial commitment, is also we're also members of the Walga Southwest Country Zone, so there's an advocacy forum there and regional collaboration forum there as well. And also, I guess, in coming to your decision, councillors, just bear in mind, if we are to stay in as a member of Bungeo Group of Councils and be an active member, there is obviously a staffing requirement and a staffing resource, which probably would fall on myself and the executive team as well. So happy to take any questions, councillors, as required.
Councillor Hall.
Thank you. Through the chair. CEO, what is the benefit to the Shire of Donnybrook as being a member of this group? Obviously, Bunbury and Busselton are particularly large populous areas with different objectives and different needs and different groups there compared to a small town like Donnybrook. How do we align and what do we get out of it for our Shire?
Yeah, and through you, Chair, that's a really good question, Council. I guess in the absence of having that strategic plan developed, which is the next step, we are going a little bit blind. I think it's no secret to say that the benefit in the last few years has been somewhat questionable, and what's come out of that forum has been somewhat questionable. I know historically since 1998 there have been a number of significant initiatives that have been implemented, including the Bunbury Geograph Economic Alliance. It's actually spawned out of this forum and it's got a life of its own. But where that organisation is at the moment, where it comes to that strategic and the governance review, I can't give you an informed response. I think it really comes down to, do we want to continue in and be part of those discussions and those workshops and make an informed decision, or do we want to just maintain that decision that happened back in 25th of September and withdraw?
Did you want to mention shared resources, the opportunity for shared resources, and also the connectivity between workers?
Yeah, so there is an opportunity for us, obviously, and it comes down to, if indeed that is the focus moving forward, to look at shared resources and a regional workforce plan and identifying some of those issues. I think one of the major, most recent benefits has been the regional response to FOGO, and looking at and the advocacy that's occurred around that. Now, we don't have a solution at this stage, but certainly the Shire of Donnybrook bailing up wouldn't be able to go and fight that fight on its own 2 feet. But saying that, we are a member of Warren Blackwood Alliance, and that FOGO issue has also been raised at the broader Walga Southwest Country Zone. And probably just to build on that last point that you raised, Shire President, that tourists don't just sort of stop at the boundaries and stop at the borders. Our people, our residents, some are employed in the surrounding shires, so there is that.
Children
I guess
go to school.
There's the employment connectivity, there's the social connections that way as well. So it's not an easy decision, and it's not. I can see that there could be a variety of opinions around the table, but I did want to bring this forward as a recommendation for council, as it is on the table.
Thank you, CEO. Any questions? Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, through the chair. Probably question to the CEO or for the CEO. So we're requesting the $15,417 in the draft budget to fund ongoing membership, but the actual membership costs themselves in relation to what Bungeo are requesting are greater than that, correct? Because
No.
it's...
No. So we had the briefing.
Yeah.
So sorry, did you have a follow-up question, Kels?
No, I'm just, yeah, if you, yep.
There was a number of models in the spreadsheet and a number of different scenarios. One was based on population, percentage of population, percentage of revenue, as well as a buy-in. I did clarify with the Secretariat, because I think I might have briefed councillors at the workshop a slightly different figure, but it is, at this stage, the only buy-in would be the 15,417, and then there would be an additional requirement depending on the initiatives we want to take part in.
Sorry, just to follow up on that, if I may. So, look, I may have missed something at the workshop then. So my understanding is that when you look at the table that was provided in the agenda, we've got the minimum contribution of 20,000
No.
plus those additional costs across. And that was my understanding.
It's quite confusing the way that it's been presented, and that was a bit of clarity, because I think you may have asked the question at the workshop when we just sort of...
Yeah, I'm not sure I got
discussing.
that out of it though. So, okay, I thought there was a 40,000 something number in there somewhere.
No, so
okay.
one way you could read it is if you go across that table,
Yep.
and you can see in the buy-in of $20,000 plus some pro rata contributions plus the 15,417, that if you did add them together, would come up to about $40,000. I clarified with the Secretariat, is it that whole line across, or is it just one? And it's been confirmed that our contribution would be $15,417.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lindeman.
Through the chair, probably to the CEO again. The allocation is 15,417, but you talk about the initiatives. Now, can we opt in and out of initiatives, or once you're in, you're in? So whatever they table, we're going to be paying for.
No.
CEO.
Yeah, so the draft charter and certainly the conversations we've had as part of the governance review is it is an opt-in to the initiatives. There may be something that is purely coastal that has no direct or indirect benefit to the Shire of Donnybrook Balingup, and that would be an initiative that we wouldn't be part of and wouldn't be required to provide a pro rata contribution. However, the 15,417 would be for the employment of an executive officer, so that is non-negotiable. Yep.
Councillor Lindeman.
Just probably a point of clarification, if we could, to the CEO. We resigned from the Bungeo tourism part. Can you just explain how we participate in one? It looks like Collie is resigning from the tourism part as well, or have flagged that they may do. Can you just explain a little bit of how all that ties in, please?
So yes, so the Bungeo Tourism Partnership, which in the lead up to last financial year's budget, there was a decision to withdraw from that. So that is a sub-component of this broader group. However, we are still members of the Bungeo Tourism Partnership. I think it's also fair to say that a number of councils at this juncture are questioning the value of being a member of Bungeo. It was interesting that the Bun in Bungeo, as in Bunbury, wasn't in attendance at that last strategic session, and certainly there have been comments made by the hierarchy at Bunbury Council around the benefit of that forum. And I don't want to speak on behalf of another council or another CEO, but there are other councils that are questioning the validity of it. But I think it was quite a positive discussion, and there was I guess, in principle, sort of support to at least take that next step and go through that strategic planning session. I think that was my takeaway from the meeting on the 28th.
I'm conscious that I can't give an opinion here, but that's my take on it too. And each of those member councils are taking it to their councils this month. Councillor Patrick.
Thank you again. I had a bit of a look through the document they provided there, terms of reference, whatever you want to call it. If we were to continue with leaving, what's the situation with potentially buying back in 12 months' time, for example? If we gave it time to determine how mature they become as an organisation and actually implement things, is there the capacity to review our potential membership later on?
CEO.
Yeah, so it doesn't expressly deal with it as part of that governance framework or the terms of reference in the charter. I guess it's implied that we could, down the track, if we believe there could be benefit, we could knock on the door and seek membership. I guess there's probably just a little bit of reputational risk for us to be managing if we sort of opt out, let other councils do the heavy lift and then opt in, sort of. But that's a matter for council to determine.
Any other questions? Councillor Bailey.
Through the chair, the pro rata is unknown, and that concerns me. And have you got any indication of staffing costs for our shire?
Councillor Bailey, do you mean the staffing input from here
Correct.
on implementing any initiatives?
That's our shire, yes.
I think that would have to depend
It does.
on the initiatives we buy into.
Sorry? So there's no figure on that at the moment?
Yes.
At the 15,400, that would be the CEO and Shire President's attendance at the meeting. So that's the shell. But any initiative then that we commit to, so if there's a shared initiative that we wanted to participate in, then that would have to be assessed at the time. And I guess that would come before council again, am I right? Yes. So,
and maybe if I could just add to that, Shire President, you'll note also in that that draft charter document, it also contemplates having a number of subcommittees as well. Those subcommittees would involve and would be down sort of at the next tier. So myself and Shire President would attend the board meetings, but it would be the executive staff that would attend some of those subcommittee meetings as well. So your point is a good one. It's probably a little bit of a hidden cost, and that's why I was sort of touching on that a little bit in one of the dot points, that it's not just about buying in and getting the benefit. There's also, it's one of those, the old adage, you get out of these regional sort of forums as much as you put in. So there would be a time impost as well. And probably just to back up what the Shire President, I can't put a dollar figure on that at the moment.
any other questions? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, through the chair, just seeking clarification. The decision of the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of December, people that know a lot more about this maintain that we're getting very little out of this group for our expense. And the other thing I'm questioning now is this was the decision of council on the 25th of September. And the regulations are we can't bring them back to council for 3 months. What are we doing back here now?
I can answer that.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, so thanks very much for your question. It was a question, Councillor, we did turn and we did ask ourselves, but we got some external advice, and the fact that there is substantial, significant additional information, then it can be brought back. So there's no revocation required. So it's actually a lawful recommendation and motion.
Thank you, CEO. Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, through the chair. So we are setting a precedent where things can come back to council prior to this 3 months.
Councillor Bailey?
That's a question.
The question was answered, and it's a
No, it
lawful,
wasn't
it's a
answered.
lawful recommendation.
What I'm doing is seeking
Councillor Bailey?
clarification, President.
It's not a precedent, it's a lawful recommendation.
From who?
Thank you, Councillor Bailey.
From which department?
It's a recommendation, it's a lawful recommendation in our report.
Look, I understand that, it's a recommendation.
Councillor
but-
Bailey,
No, look, I've got a question to ask. You
I
haven't
will ask for
answered it.
further clarification from the CEO.
Correct, thank you.
CEO, is there anything more you can add to that to explain it?
No, but I mean, I can just repeat and re-emphasise that I understand the councillor's question, and there's certainly, if it was for the same decision, then that does require a revocation or indeed the 3 month period. However, because there is substantial information, additional information that wasn't before council when the original decision was made, then this is a lawful motion and a lawful report to bring to council.
Okay. Councillors, I'm not taking any more questions on that topic, but are there any other questions? Okay. Moving on to 8.2, Audit and Risk Management Committee meeting, held on the 15th of December 2025. CEO, would you like to introduce this? Because we're not quite there.
No, so just for, through you, Chair, just for councillors and the gallery's perspective, obviously we've had the annual audit process on foot, given the timing of the provision of the final audit documents and the audited financial statements from the Auditor General's Office, which is only, we received them signed off yesterday afternoon. We're required to give 72 hours before we can actually call that meeting, so hence the meeting will be on Monday and the minutes will be presented directly to the OCM next Wednesday.
Any questions regarding that, councillors? So taking us through to item 9, reports of officers, and 9.1, Director of Operations. 9.1.1, Development Application P25041, Workforce Accommodation Lot 103, 107 Irish Town Road, Donnybrook. Councillors, we'll put this straight out to questions. Do you have any questions? Councillor Bailey?
Through the chair, the representation was that this fits in with our town planning scheme, but a quick look at the zoning tables, I'm not completely sure, so can you confirm that that is the case, please?
Director of Operations?
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Bailey. It was touched on in the deputation, and it does really come down to what is the land use, which you're right, so it's priority agriculture. And I did actually write some notes myself because it's quite a substantive report, so there's a lot of information in there. If I may praise my planners, I'd like to, because it's quite a good job. But they said that we have to determine the use is consistent with the objectives of the zone. So workers' accommodation to provide, to support the production is certainly consistent. So that's part of the recommendation, and that's actually in the key themes, item 1, and replicated a number of times through the officer's comments.
Just for clarification, it's definitely not an excuse though, Mr Marshall, though, is it?
Just following on from John's question, can I also ask, because it's priority agricultural land, are we absolutely confident that if we were to pull up this, pull the what they call the modules away and return it to vacant land, are we confident that that could still be used as productive agricultural land?
I think
Given
that's,
that it needs to be returned to its original production quality.
Madam President, I think that's probably a little bit subjective, so I'd be wading into, I think, an opinion. So if I may offer an opinion, certainly we've heard, and my officers have had site inspections, I believe that a couple of councillors went out as well, that there are a number of alternative areas not suitable as this one. The site where it's going, the soil, for want of a better word, is considered not to be as productive as the rest of the land, from what I understand. There's other areas where there's no services, particularly power, to support the installation. And there's also the security, the food security issue of having workers within the proximity of the operational requirements. So as far as going back to say, if you lifted up the modular buildings and you put them somewhere else or you got rid of them, then it really would be up to the landowner as to how they see fit to develop that soil again, understanding that it would be fit for that.
Yeah. I wasn't sort of talking about location so much. My question is the soil going to be retained, like would the soil be retained as in its present quality if everything was removed in 5 years' time, would the soil have the same quality that it has now?
Other than where the location is for the septic system, the answer would be yes, because there's no other contamination considered.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors?
Yep, sure. Through the chair, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lindemann.
Yep, I just want to check if there's going to be any rate adjustments or if the accommodation is placed on the property. Like, does it trigger a reclassification, or does it, is there going to be a rate increase?
Could impact on the valuation. Yeah. Yeah. So it will. It'll favourably. Well, depending on whose perspective you're looking at. From council perspective, it'll impact on the rates.
Councillor Purick.
Apologies if it's in the report. Will this be a postal address? Will there be a post box there? Will it be serviced? Will it sort of be a new address of sorts?
Thank you, Councillor Purick.
That one's, that's easy to answer. No, it's on the same lot. So.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Lindemann.
Just checking if bins will be available, or it's up to the owners to supply rubbish disposal.
Director of Operations.
There obviously is a rubbish service in that area, so they could increase that rubbish service on a fee basis. So, yeah, look, additional rubbish service is available at a cost.
Thank you, Director of Operations. Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Purick?
Just in regards to the vehicle access road, will that be upgraded on the corner, a new crossover?
Director of Operations?
Through the Chair, definitely will be upgraded, and there's also a slight tweak to the current plan where we're making the crossover more perpendicular to the corner just for better sight lines as well.
Thank you. Councillors? Thank you. Takes us through to 9.1.2. Section 31, reconsideration request, group dwelling applications P24075 and P24082, Roberts Street in Balingup. Would Manager Development Services, Director of Operations, like to provide an overview, please?
Thank you, Madam President. I've actually got my Manager Development Services hard working at the moment since we're a staff member down. So look, this report is in a way procedural in the sense that we're responding to the State Administrative Tribunal order, which was part of the attachments. Primarily, our job is to reconsider the site plan. So the site plan that was originally in the approval wasn't suitable. Well, sorry, let's start again. Our consideration was it wasn't okay. Department of Health shared the same opinion. The new plan that's been submitted, we as a Shire officers, we think the plan's much better, much more suitable. We referred it to Department of Health. They've agreed. Really, they are the main approver anyway. So if they're on board, then there's probably no reason why we shouldn't be. So all we're saying to councillors that in accordance with the State Administrative Tribunal orders, we just want to recognise the new plan and adopt the new plan as part of the current approval. So it's not a new approval. All we're doing is swapping out one plan, putting in the new plan.
Thank you, Director of Operations. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Lindeman?
Through the Chair, just to refresh my memory, is this one with the compostable toilets?
Incinerator, yeah.
Incinerating ones, even more interesting. Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. Item 9.1.3, Works and Services Project Planning. Director of Operations, can we ask you to introduce the report?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Madam President. Look, to be really honest with you, this was an oversight on my behalf. We did prepare the 6-year roadworks plans for council, which would approve as part of the lead up to the budget process. What I failed to do was actually bring through 4 projects that required money up front to do planning, and part of that planning in particular is surveys, design, clearing permits. Like some of our clearing permits can take 18 months because of the amount of work and consultation required. The plans, which I did, not sure if you've got them handy, Sam. You can see, if you've got good eyesight, I've underlined with red lines where we had planned to do this work in the next budget period, so we need to do the planning this time. But just, it was an oversight not to put it in the current budget, so I apologise for that and just request some funds so that we can do our planning ahead of time to make sure that we deliver those works in the financial year allocated. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Director of Operations. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Patrick. Can I see you coming?
Can I just make a comment?
CEO?
Yeah. So councillors, normally when we'd have one of these items appear, we would normally look at cost savings within that individual budget. However, given we do have a healthy surplus from the 24-25 year, and given that out of the recent community survey that roads and infrastructure matters are the highest importance, we didn't want to look at devaluing or reducing the scope and scale of the roads program. So I think this is a good initiative where we're actually using some surplus funds and reinvesting it back into one of the highest priorities for our community.
Thank you, CEO. Councillor Patrick.
Thank you. And look, thanks for that, CEO. And that was essentially one of what I was mulling over in my brain. So just looking at this agenda briefing or this agenda itself, we're looking at requests for up to nearly 100,000 across multiple items for unbudgeted expenditure. Do you happen to know off the top of your head what the approvals to date this financial year? Yeah, so we've had a budget surplus, 24-25.
Yep.
But obviously that surplus only goes so far. Do you happen to have a number as to what we've already approved as unbudgeted expenditure so far this financial year, utilising that surplus?
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have the exact figure, but it's well within the actual surplus amount of around $600,000. So, yeah, there's certainly no risk at this stage if council was to pass these and others that we'd be, raiding the cookie jar where there's no cookies left, so to speak. It's there's still going to be a healthy surplus left, but it's something we're mindful of. And Mrs. Hazeldean, I don't know whether you have the exact figure, but it's something we're looking at doing a tracking and doing a correlation. Did you have it?
If I may add, there in the end of the monthly financial report, there's a section there for budget amendments. So that lists out what the budget amendments are to date. However, none of those are actually utilising the surplus from last financial year. So the next November financial report, I'll start updating them as the minutes come through, and then I can, give an indication on where that funding is coming from the surplus.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, any further questions? Moving on to item 9.1.4, Donnybrook Transit Park upgrades and remedial works. Director of Operations, would you like to provide an overview?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So most of you would be familiar. Can't speak my words tonight. Familiar with the Donnybrook Transit Park. The building was built some time ago now, back in probably just post-boom era around 2008. Since that time, obviously Peter Davis has been around since then, and there seems to have been a long-term issue with the plumbing there. So it's actually got some of that plastic type piping in there. I won't say the brand because I don't think that's fair. Was pretty well known in the industry that was happening and the pipe was splitting. So we've had at least 6 repairs done in my time, so in the last 3 years. What must have happened is we must have had this build-up of moisture that's got into the structure, into the walls, and then down at a low level. And it would have been, we didn't see that moisture evidence because there's vinyl, everything's vinyl wrapped, so the floor then wraps up to the wall. But what we're seeing just more recently is like bottoms of doors are rusted out, the frames are rusted out. So we're now seeing signs of corrosion just from obviously long-term leaking over who knows, maybe since day one. So we've got we think a serious problem, but we don't know the extent of the problem. We had some planned works down there just to fix up the doors and the frames, which we planned to do. We also didn't want to be a typical local government where we go and replace 6 doors and then 2 years later we're going to replace them again because we're putting electronic locks in them. So we thought, well, let's take the opportunity now to do something efficient and put the electronic locks in while we're doing this work. We'd also like to spend some time really investigating the extent of this issue and then work out what we can do from a remedial point of view. I think the obvious thing would be to replace the plastic piping, but we want to get an expert opinion on that. And maybe that is the case. Maybe we need to actually rip it all out and replace it with copper or a newer product, which we'll find out. So hence that's part of the request to go and do some investigation. It is problematic. I don't know why, but these things always seem to happen 9 o'clock on a Saturday night or 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So we've had a lot of call-outs. We've had a really helpful response from a couple of local plumbers. But I think what's the definition of insanity? This is coming along those lines. So appreciate your support if we could do some remedial works and do some investigation.
Thank you, Director of Operations. Any questions? Okay.
Actually, sorry. Could I just ask?
Councillor Lindemann?
Yeah, just one question, please. The Space to Code, we haven't got statistics yet. It says for how many patrons we're getting through. So when might that be available, where we get some real hard facts on patronage?
Thank you, Councillor Lindemann.
So I'll just defer to Ms Clifford. So our Space to Co bookings, is that part of our regular report to councillors, that quarterly report? We're going to give an update?
It will be coming, yeah.
Yep. Do we have a time frame?
So probably in the new year, we'll be looking at adding some of the Space to Co information and some of the booking information in there for councillors to be able to have that overview of the live bookings and what's coming in.
Thank you. Okay, moving into 9.2, Director of Finance and Corporate. Sorry, should that read now Finance and Community? Pick up.
It will, yeah, next month, maybe.
We want you to feel welcome.
Yes. All the tough questions to Colin.
Okay, 9.2.1, Schedule of Accounts Paid as at the 30th of November 2025. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Bailey?
Through the chair, replacement of stereo. What year was that car? $1,300.
Replacement of the stereo?
Yeah, what year was that car?
It's a $1,300 one.
Have you got the...
Just roughly.
Sorry?
Through the chair.
Yep.
The replacement stereo is for the SESM vehicle. So the SESM vehicle is about 5 years old, due for replacement this current financial year.
Okay.
It's actually a leased vehicle as well, but it was out of the warranty period.
That's the question. Thank you.
And to be honest with you, I didn't want the SESM going through the high threat season
No, that's fine.
without good comms.
So is it actually a stereo or is it actually the
It's-
CB and all the
It's Bluetooth.
communication?
Yeah, that's the Bluetooth connection, which was paramount. Bluetooth and the GPS.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey?
Vehicle recovery, 2,145. Can you confirm what that is?
Which EFT, please?
Do you know what EFT it is?
32014.
We'll just give...
The abandoned vehicles, yeah.
Okay, Director of Operations.
So Bunbury Towing Service, that's the one you're talking about, Councillor Bailey. So that was for the truck that we had an issue with a rollover and subsequent write-off. So that was recovery of that vehicle and removal from the site back to our depot.
Thank you.
And that, sorry, just to add to that, that's most probably recoverable through insurance, Councillor Bailey. Is that-
No, that's great. Thank you very much. And EFT 32051, Landgate 26. That's for title searches, is it?
That's the slip, which is, that's all the mapping stuff, Roscoe, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the shared land information pack.
Thank you.
So it's not just title searches, it's also the mapping and topography and all that
Great.
stuff as well. Flooding,
Yep.
it's the annual subscription. Yep.
And Councillor Patrick?
Thank you. EFT 31978, the Sports World of WA. It says Googles, 1,700. So even if that's goggles, I just question $1,700. I'm just curious as to what that is.
Which EFT again?
31978.
Sports World WA?
Oh,
Goggles
big goggles. Big goggles, I assume it's for stock up at the rec centre?
for sale.
I don't think it's Googles. It might be goggles and hats and flippers and, yeah, be supplies for up at the rec centre.
Any other questions? Councillor Bailey?
Thank you, through the chair. EFT 32067, umpire costs for the Netball Association. Can you explain what that is about?
3-2, you got that one?
32067.
Stop. Donnybrook Netball Association, umpire costs, $1,400.
Yeah, don't know. Yeah, so we'll take that one on notice, councillor. if that's
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Executive Manager
Manager of Finance.
Manager Finance.
Thank you. That would be for the provision of umpires for the mixed netball
Oh, that the Shire runs.
at the rec centre.
Yep.
Yep.
Which will be offset by participation dues. Yep.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor McNabb.
As I was going through it, there's quite a lot there of refunds of rates overpayment. Is that a normal amount of overpayments or?
Manager Finance.
Yeah, that is pretty normal, yep. Some of them relate to pensioner rebates as well for their rates, so yeah.
And moving home.
Yes, also
Settlements,
due to settlements
yeah.
as well that have
Yeah.
occurred during the month, yep.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Patrick.
Thank you. It was just one more. EFT 2091, Southwest Audio Visual, an AV cabinet with additional HDMI and so on. Can you advise where that's for, please?
Director of Operations. You know this already.
I do. Would you believe it took 12 months to get that cabinet? So for the cabinet maker to supply and deliver it, it took about 12 months. So then I held off from other works. And one of the things we've worked out with using the community club, that main area in all the AV, is we lacked a bit of connectivity.
BC Mitchell Park.
Yeah. So it's been added to the community club room.
And just to follow up out of that, so that is that coming out of the VC Mitchell funding that was initially allocated? Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, moving on to item 9.2.2. Statement of Financial Activity Report for the period ending 31st of October 2025. Meta, would you like to introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Madam President. So the monthly financial report presenting today is for the month ending the 31st of October 25. So that's, as per the Statement of Financial Activity, the revenue from operating activities is on track against against the budget estimates with a small favourable variance of 39,000. The operating expenses is 2.3 million below the year-to-date budget, which is mainly due to depreciation yet to be calculated. So at the time of preparing this report, the annual financial report for 24-25 was still subject to the final audit. As a result of this, the asset register within the financial system is not updated with asset transactions for the 25-26 year. So the next monthly report for November will include the year-to-date depreciation. Operating expenses also includes employee costs being 100,000 greater than the budget estimate, and this is due to leave entitlements that have been paid throughout the year, and this will be offset with the reduction in the provision that's calculated at the end of the financial year. Investing activities includes a reportable variance of 153,000 for the acquisition of infrastructure assets. So if I refer to page 13 of the attachment, this includes a breakdown of the breakdown of the infrastructure projects, with the majority of this variance in the construction of roads, and it's mainly due to timing differences between what's been included in the budget and what's in the actuals. I also wish to note that there are two capital projects with an actual spend against a zero budget estimate. These two projects were budgeted in 24-25 but remained incomplete at the end of the financial year and were omitted in error from the carry forwards process. So this will be included as an amendment in the upcoming budget review process. So yeah, that's the end of my review for the November monthly report.
October. Yep.
Meta, that amendment, will that be a prior year adjustment, or
No.
does it need to be, does it, because it was just not carried forward?
Yes, it wasn't carried forward into the 25-26 budget, so there will be no adjustments to the prior year.
prior year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, councillors, moving on to item 9.2.3, which will be presented before the OCM. So we'll have an update to the attachments. Item 9.2.4, Council Policy EXC CP4, welcome to and not welcome to an acknowledgement of country. Any questions? Okay, item 9.2.5, Annual Report 24 to 2025 and scheduling of the 2026 Annual General Meeting of Electors. And I believe our Executive Manager Corporate will introduce the report.
Okay, thanks. So just to point out, it's a bit tricky with timing because the December council meeting is brought forward a week. The timing then obviously for today's meeting brought forward a week. The timing with regards to having the exit interview, which we only had with the auditors on Monday, and then they've only just sent through the annual financial statements yesterday. So we will then, once that happens, we'll then have the Audit Risk Committee meeting. That has to be presented to the Audit Risk Committee to accept prior to it coming to the council meeting. So it's a half-written report with more information to come, but we wanted to give you the annual report as it stands as a draft at the moment for your review, noting that those other financial statements will be provided with the audit opinion coming with that. And so on that, we just wanted to also outline that we'll be setting the date for the annual general meeting of electors, being for the 4th of February. And we're looking to do it in the council chambers here based on the last few years of the AGMs. It's been under 10 people. I think some of those were staff or partners of councillors who were actually in attendance. So to be able to ensure that we keep the costs down with the resources it takes to go and set up the other facility and with sort of no one showing up, and at least we can live stream it and have it available for those who can't attend at the time or might have accessibility issues. So we're aiming to have it here in the council chambers. And so, yeah, that should save us a bit of resources and a bit of money there for any type of hire that we might need to do for any other facilities. So, yeah, so I do apologise that it's a half-written report, but we will have some more information to come as soon as we get that information from the Audit Risk Committee meeting.
Just on that, the meeting will be held on Monday.
Yes, Monday the 15th, the Audit Committee meeting at 3 p.m. or 3:30, I think. Yeah, we had some committee members out of Australia, so, and we needed a quorum, obviously, because we obviously needed to go to council, and this has to go to the Audit Risk Committee prior to council, and it has to be adopted before the 31st of December under the regulations, so.
This also, sorry. You're right.
No, I was going to ask Mrs Clifford maybe just to explain the timeframes. There's a certain number of days after the statements and the annual report is presented to council for us to have that electors meeting.
Yeah, so sorry, yeah, further on to that. So once the annual financial statements and the annual report's been accepted by council, we've then got 52 or 56 days in that we have to then hold the AGM. So that's why we're setting the 4th of February as a date, hoping that most people are sort of back in town again after that holiday period so that we can sort of get optimal period of time and timing to get out the adverts and
can I just say that in the last 2 meetings, we've had feedback that we didn't know it was on. So we are still communicating through all the normal channels, and our communications officer does a brilliant job at it. But there's an opportunity for councillors to also work through our contact points. For example, I'll be speaking to the seniors group, to the Women in Touch group, anyone I can speak to through the radio program, letting people know that this is on the 4th of February. So if you have groups that you attend, like Progress Association down in Brailingup or the Currup Progress Association, or even your sporting groups, if you have an opportunity to attend a meeting and let them know that this is on, it's up to us to also engage with our different branches and connection points in our community. Okay. Any questions? Councillor Hall?
Thank you, through the chair. So what's the opportunity for enticing people to come and attend this? I've never been to one. So what would we say is the opportunity for them to speak, or I'm not too sure. So just if you can
Yes.
highlight that for me, would be great.
It includes public question time. We prefer the questions to be in writing ahead of the meeting. If there is time at the meeting, we'll also take questions from the floor. So public question time, but given it's a broader audience, hopefully, then in writing is really helpful. And if possible, let our administration team have a copy of that prior to the meeting so that everyone's prepared and we can give a meaningful and fulsome answer.
Sorry, through the chair also. It's an opportunity, we give a bit of a presentation and an overview because we're presenting the annual report to give them an overview on what's been going on in the previous financial year. And there's also an opportunity for motions from the floor to come that then have to be presented to council. So it's an opportunity for them, if they've got anything of any concern, that they can present it to the council at that time, and then we'll have to action that following that meeting.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to 9.2.6, Council Policy EMCP2, live streaming and recording of council meetings. We'll go straight to questions. Any councillors' questions? No? Okay, moving through 9.3 and 10 with no content. Councillors, will move into through 11 through to 12. Before I do get some feedback at times regarding when I make a ruling or when I make a decision, and I have committed to explaining myself where I can. And when it comes to time to questions, and my decision to move on from your question, Councillor Bailey, that is referring to section 7.1 of Meeting Procedures Local Laws, item 4. Every question and answer, A, is to be brief and concise, and B, is not to be accompanied by argument, expression of opinion or statement of facts. So just explaining myself there. And then moving on to our decision then to close the meeting to the public. Matters for which meetings may be closed. We'll be moving into item 12.1.1 and 12.1.2. 12.1.1 is Bridge 5224 progress update, and 12.1.2 is RFT 014526 Donnybrook Recreation Centre change room upgrades. So we'll move it. Oh, we don't have to move a motion. No, we can just close the meeting. For those participating via live stream, this will be returning only to close the meeting. Okay.
Let me just see.
Okay, returning to close the meeting, the agenda briefing session, and we'll advise that the next meeting is our ordinary council meeting to be held on the 26th of November 2025 at 3 p.m. in the Shire of Donnybrook Balingup Council Chamber.